The 2021.5 Rockstar Edition Husqvarna FC450 looks totally new for this year and way different than the 2021 model that's white. This one, it's got a lot of black, a lot of yellow, and obviously the Rockstar and Husqvarna logos that come on the factory racing team with riders like Jason Anderson, Zach Osborne, and Dean Wilson. The MXA Wrecking Crew absolutely loves the 2021 Husqvarna FC450, but we were super bummed when the new Rockstar Edition didn't get our favorite upgrade that the Husqvarna got in 2021. As you probably know, if you follow the MXA Wrecking Crew, or if you have a Husky yourself, you'd know that the 2021 model comes with lowered suspension, bringing the whole bike down closer to the ground, helping it with cornering, helping it with straight line stability in the straightaways, and overall just making the Husqvarna FC450 an easier bike to ride and a better handling motorcycle. And super bummed that Husky didn't make that change, but they did go exactly like what KTM has. So the KTM Factory Edition 450 and the Rockstar Edition Husqvarna 450 have the exact same suspension as each other. Yes, that's not very odd. That has happened in years past, and it is taller than the standard 2021 Husqvarna FC450. Other upgrades are just the standard upgrades that you get every year on the Rockstar Edition Husky 450. It's got the FMF muffler with the stock header, the Rockstar Edition graphics. It's got some different frame guards that give you a little extra traction to grip onto the bike. It's got the gripper seat cover. It has the split turbo clamps, the factory Husqvarna Power Part wheels, and a hole shot device. Comparing the production model 2021 Husky 450 to the Rockstar Edition 450 is a big change, as the suspension is totally different, giving the bike different handling character and actually making it taller, which isn't as good for cornering as we know. So if you have a standard Husky 450 and you want to buy a Rockstar Edition 450, you need to know that up front. You can lower your Rockstar Edition 450 as we've talked about previously. We talked to the WP guys, and there are ways to get your Husky lowered and kind of install the same settings that you have on your 2021 model, but it is going to be a little bit of a pricey change, and it's an unfortunate deal that Husky didn't go with the lowered suspension for the Rockstar Edition. Besides the fact that the suspension is totally different and it matches the 2021 KTM 450 and the extra little goodies that come every year on the Rockstar Edition FC450, there is only one major upgrade and only one major difference between last year's model and this year's Rockstar Edition FC450. It comes with the new Bluetooth connectivity unit, allowing you to custom make maps via a smartphone app and add them onto your motorcycle through the Bluetooth connectivity unit that's on the handlebar pad. KTM and Husky didn't invent this technology. Yamaha's been using Wi-Fi connectivity to connect smartphone apps to their motorcycles for years now, and they've been able to teach riders how to adjust their maps on their cell phones, upload them to their motorcycle, and take them onto the track. And one nice part about Yamaha is that they give you recommended maps on their websites that you can download straight to your smartphone and then upload from your smartphone to your motorcycle. So that's where you get the TP3, the TP5, the connected maps and stuff like that. You can get them straight from Yamaha, upload them to your motorcycle, and then you have the map settings that they recommend. What we do like about the My Husqvarna Bluetooth app is that it is very easy to use. We call it dummy proof because it's easy to connect to and it's easy to adjust the maps. You can adjust a couple different settings. Throttle responsiveness, you can turn it from 1 to 5. Engine braking, you can turn it from 1, which has very little engine braking, to 5, which has more of a stock standard feel of engine braking. You can also adjust the traction control and turn that from 1 to 5 as well, to turn it up to make more traction control and less traction control. And you have launch control settings where you can adjust how you want the launch control to work as well. So it is a very simple app, very easy to use. You can also adjust for track conditions. It has specific settings for dry conditions, wet conditions, sand tracks, gravel tracks, and hard pack tracks. So there's all kinds of different settings that you can mess with, but it's fairly easy, and with the little bar graph that they give you on the app, it's easy to see what each adjustment makes to the engine's power curve on the bar graph. Another cool aspect of the My Husqvarna Bluetooth app is that there's a suspension setting tool on there. So it doesn't actually change the suspension settings from your phone, but it gives you recommendations and kind of a little guidance to give you a direction to go in when you're riding on different tracks. So you put in your weight, you put in your skill level, and you put in track conditions, and with that it's able to tell you, okay, we recommend a certain amount of air pressure in your forks. We recommend your forks be lifted up to the first line or second line or to be flush. We recommend a sag setting. We recommend clicker settings, rebound settings, all these different settings that some riders are still learning. And the MXA Wrecking Crew, we're always trying to teach people how suspension works and how to make their bike feel better. Now with the KTM and Husqvarna apps, you can plug in your settings, plug in your specs for your personal riding preference and your personal riding ability, and the KTM and Husqvarna app will give you kind of a guidance and point you in the right direction. For the MXA Wrecking Crew, setting up the app was fairly simple, and connecting to our motorcycles was fairly simple as well. But there is one challenge. If you connect to your phone to the motorcycle and you get a new phone, or you want somebody else like your dad or your mechanic to connect their phone to the motorcycle, you have to log off on your phone, disconnect it, and you lose all of your maps that you had saved previously, and then they have to reconnect after that. So we have all kinds of different people riding and testing these motorcycles. It is kind of a challenge for us to have to switch between phones to adjust the map settings on the bikes. As for uploading maps into the motorcycle, you'll need to make sure that the handlebar button is green. Sometimes if the handlebar pad is off, you have to click the electric start button, just tap it to get the handlebar pad to wake up. Then it'll be kind of blinking white. You click it, once it switches over to green, then you're ready to upload a new map to the handlebar pad and to the motorcycle's ECU. For us, it's a fairly simple process. It takes about 15 seconds for you to save and upload the map to the motorcycle, and while it's doing it, you'll hear the fuel pump kick on as well, and that'll kind of let you know that it's working. Then your phone will give you a thumbs up, good to go, and you can head on to the track. Alright, so let's dive into the exciting stuff. How did the 2021 and a half Rockstar Edition Husqvarna FC450 handle for us after our first day of riding? Technically, this is a first ride video, but we did spend 2 days of riding and learning the new Bluetooth connectivity unit before recording this video. First day, we headed out to the hills, rode in the desert on a rough, hard pack and slick track, which really gave us a good feel for how the traction control would work and how it would work if we detuned the motorcycle and made it better for traction. Then the next day we headed out to Glen Helen to test the new Rockstar Edition, to test it on a familiar track. Our first goal and our first mission with testing the Bluetooth connectivity unit was to see how wide the range was, and we were very impressed. We can detune the bike considerably, and we can also make it considerably more aggressive. With the different options, you can change the throttle responsiveness, you can change traction control, engine braking, and launch control to kind of dial in your bike. And you can also put it on wet settings instead of dry, and you can also put it on a gravel condition instead of sand or hard pack. And both the gravel and the wet conditions will detune the motorcycle and make it a lot easier to ride and a lot more mellow hitting off the bottom end of the power band. Then when we turn the throttle responsiveness all the way down, we turn the engine braking up, and we turn the traction control all the way up, it completely detuned the bike and made it feel almost like a 350 or a fast 250 out there. So super easy to ride, super mellow. And if I was letting my wife ride my 450 for the first time, or if I was letting my friends ride it who aren't experienced on a 450, it's pretty nice to be able to detune it and make it a lot smoother and easier to ride. Also, if you're going to go for a longer endurance race, or you're just going to be riding on a rough track and you need it to last for a longer moto and not get so tired, detuning the bike will make it a lot easier to ride. It'll reduce arm pump and sometimes actually make you faster because you're making less mistakes than you would if the bike was more aggressive, wheeling out of corners and kind of upsetting the chassis because it had more power. We were super impressed with the amount of adjustability that the bike had, and we were surprised with the amount of traction control it had as well. With Husqvarna and KTMs in the past, clicking the traction control button on the map switch, it makes a difference, but it hasn't been a wide, major difference for me, and I usually don't mess with it. With the traction control on the new app, it completely detunes the bikes coming out of the corner and makes a lot more traction at the rear wheel. It's pretty surprising to see how much the traction control actually actually affects the bike. Same with engine braking. The engine braking at 5, it doesn't feel like there's a lot of engine braking, but then you bring it all the way down to 1. The thing rolls into the corners like a 2-stroke. It's really nice when it rolls into the corners because it makes the suspension work easier and it's not binding up as much. Suspension tuners and engine tuners have always been working to lower engine braking because they know it allows the chassis to flex and move better coming into corners, and that's why modern motorcycles like the KTM and Husqvarna come with a lot less engine braking nowadays than they used to have back when 4-strokes first came onto the scene in motocross. As for the aggressive side of the mapping, it definitely makes the bike more exciting to ride. You're wheeling more, you're losing traction more, it has a lot more pep in its step, but don't be confused. You're not turning your Rockstar Edition FC450 into a full mod bike by turning the throttle responsive up, engine braking down, and just letting it rip. It's still a stock motorcycle. The aggressive map is more aggressive than map 2 has been in the past, and it is a wider range of adjustability than we've seen before, but it doesn't make your bike turn into a mod 450. It still has that KTM Husqvarna power band where it's easy to ride and smooth. As for other details about the Bluetooth connectivity unit on the handlebar pad, we asked Husqvarna if we can put new handlebars with a crossbar on, or if we can just take the handlebar pad off anyways because it's kind of ugly. We can move the Bluetooth connectivity unit, but wherever we put it on the motorcycle, it needs to lay flat, kind of be level with the way that it is right now so that the phone can connect easily and not have any issues. Another interesting note about the Bluetooth connectivity unit, you have to have the bike in neutral to change gears. You can't change it while you're on the line getting ready for a race and you're in gear. You have to be in neutral to upload a new map from your phone to your motorcycle. Diving into the other aspects of the Rockstar Edition FC450, as for the suspension, it is the same as the 2021 KTM 450 and the KTM 450 Factory Edition, so it's not lowered. It has a higher recommended air pressure for the forks. So the forks on the stock KTM 450 recommended at 10.7 bar. Now with the Factory Edition KTM and Rockstar Edition Husqvarna 450s, it's recommended to have 10.9 bar in the air forks. So why would WP recommend to run a higher air pressure in the Rockstar Edition FC450 forks, even though they have the same exact internals? But they do have different triple clamps. They have the Factory Edition split triple clamps on the Rockstar Edition 450. With these triple clamps, MXA Wrecking Crew feels like we get a little more planted feel at our front wheel, and KTM, Husqvarna, and WP feel like you're able to run a little more air pressure to get better hold up on the forks. As for the rest of the bike, MXA Wrecking Crew so far actually likes the FMF muffler that comes on the Rockstar Edition more than we like the Akapovic muffler that comes on the KTM Factory Edition. The FMF muffler makes it a little more exciting, and we did put the Akapovic on our Husqvarna today and tried it back to back. We felt like we got a little more exit speed, a little more oomph coming out with the FMF muffler. Another interesting note about the FMF muffler, it actually has a spark arrestor in it, and it comes with a spark arrestor sticker as well, so that's pretty interesting. We didn't expect to see that in the FMF muffler coming on the Rockstar Edition Husqvarna 450 because this is a motocross specific bike, not an off-road bike whatsoever. Overall, after 2 days of riding on the Rockstar Edition FC450, we do wish that it had the lower suspension, but we like the Bluetooth connectivity unit. We just wish it wasn't so ugly. As I said, this is only the first ride video with the initial impression, so we're going to have a lot more time to spend messing with the mapping on this Rockstar Edition FC450, and we're definitely going to try to find another spot to put it on the motorcycle so we don't have to run that ugly bar pad. We do appreciate the wide range of adjustability that comes with the Bluetooth connectivity unit and the custom map. We're actually very happy to see WP and Husqvarna give out recommended suspension settings to their customers. KTM, Husqvarna, and now Gas get a very bad rap with their WP air forks. Air forks have had a bad rap in the motocross industry for years, and although WP is doing all kinds of things to make them better, most motocross riders don't know how to set up their air forks and therefore hate them because they either have too little air pressure, too much air pressure, or they just have no idea how they work in general. So the MXA Wrecking Crew, we're always trying to teach people how to work their WP air forks and how to make them more happy with their KTM, Gas, or Husqvarna motorcycles. And now we're excited to see Husqvarna offer this guidance tool in their app, and I hope this helps the Factory Edition and Rockstar Edition 450 buyers dial in their air forks easier with less of hassle. So that's all for the first ride video on the 2021 and a half Rockstar Edition Husqvarna FC450. As always, these are just our first impressions after the first day, and in this case 2 days of riding. We're going to have full in-depth article about the new Bluetooth tool and the Rockstar Edition 450 in a future issue of Motocross Action Magazine, so make sure to subscribe to the magazine to see and learn all about this bike. And also check out motocrossactionmag.com to see our latest bike tests, product tests, news, race results, reviews, and more. Subscribe to our YouTube channel if you want to be the first person to see our latest uploads. And wait, before you go, check out some of our latest videos by clicking the thumbnails now.